Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop. This may not look like it, but this is a medicine cabinet. Let's dive in. We're going to start out by coming over here to the computer and looking at some of the designs I have for this medicine cabinet. This is a wall-mounted medicine cabinet, and it will have a light fixture on top, and this will actually be a lit mirror. And then on the back, it'll hang with a French cleat system. For the mirror, I'm using this one from Amazon. It's just a nice light ring, but it also has heating and it has the different intensities, and I want to actually put this on the door, but this means I'm going to have electricity into the door. For the lighting fixture on top, we're choosing this one. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but this is the style that we want in our bathroom. So this is what is actually going to be mounted above the mirror. The mirror itself will actually be mounted into a mitered frame here. I'm probably going to be doing mitered bridle joints for this to make this a solid frame, because it will actually get screwed on and it will be recessed into a rabbet, but it will also hang on this frame, and then this frame will be hinged. So this will actually be holding a lot of weight for the mirror and all of the lighting. There's also a cord that comes out of the back of the mirror that has to then go into the cabinet to provide electricity. Inside the cabinet, it'll actually be pretty simple. I'll have pegs running up so we can move these shelves up and down. It'll be open to the wall behind. I thought about putting a back on it, and the back would make it a little bit more sturdy, but I'm not going to have too much of an issue with that. Though, who knows, maybe I'll regret my choice in the future. If you think I should put it back on, let me know. The whole frame will be attached to the top French cleat. This one will get mounted to the wall, and then the whole thing can hang on that sliding French cleat. The top and bottom are attached with dovetails, and then this middle shelf here is actually going to be just put in with through finger joints. This will get several holes in it, as there will be an electrical box right behind this. The light then mounts on here, so the electrical can go through that. There'll be an electrical box built into here. We'll have an outlet built into this so I can charge things inside the cabinet, and then this hole here is where a cord will go out and attach to the mirror. I want to have a built-in outlet here so that I can put my toothbrush and razor and things of that nature on this shelf and still be able to charge them even when it's all closed. It's a relatively simple design, but I'm trying to figure out what other things I want to put into it. I may end up rabbiting the back, making these shelves a little bit shorter and putting a back on here just to add a little bit of strength. Maybe something like shiplap, or maybe just put one diagonal in there. I want to keep it simple, but still solid. The interesting piece will be this top panel. There's going to be hinges along here, and then there'll be a magnetic latch inside here. This will allow us to open this up and get access to the electrical inside in case we need to attach things, and it'll also make it really easy to then actually do the electrical on it once it's all in place, because we'll have the electricity coming into the box, but then we'll have to have it go to the junction box for the light, the junction box for the outlet, as well as then go down into the mirror. So at this point, I'm going to cut some of the basic pieces over here, and we're just going to play around with the design. And this is how I like to design things. I like to just experiment, try new things, and hey, they might work out, they might not work out. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, particularly because what things could I do better on this? What would make it very interesting? Is there something fun I could put onto it? Especially with how it all comes together. The aesthetics on this, we want to try and keep a little bit modern to fit the bathroom style, but still show some of the joinery in here. So what should I do differently on this? So the next stop for me is actually to go and mill up some of the lumber and figure out how all these pieces are going to come out. Thankfully, for this project, I've got several pieces of wood left over from other projects, and most of these were either I purchased more than I needed just to be on the safe side. Sometimes they had something that made them so I couldn't use them. There was a knot in one place or another, or there was just extra boards. Because, you know, over time you end up just collecting extra wood, as any woodworker would. But I want to actually try and figure out where can I pull all of these pieces. I have a cut list with me, and I'm not cutting things exactly to the cut list. I just want to get them roughly to where I want them to be. And to do that, I need to figure out what boards come out of what boards. And I like to actually use some painter's tape and put them down on the boards and actually figure out where are they going to come out of this. Because if I don't do that, then later on would be like, oh, what was I going to use this board for? What pieces was I going to get out of this? And actually labeling them on the rough board makes it far easier to organize and calculate them in the future. Next, I want to go through and cut them to length, and I'm going to cut them roughly to length, usually within a ½ inch or inch of the actual length. So there's a good bit of wiggle room in there, especially when I don't quite know what joinery I might want to use. I may leave a little bit on there so I have some options for other joineries. I'm going to cut them roughly to length with a cheap big box store saw. I really like using that for this. I used to use a buck saw, and that works great too. It's just a little bit unwieldy, but having a cheap junky saw that I can get at Menards for free, because they often put them on sale with a mail-in rebate that costs the price of purchasing one, it's kind of why not, especially for junk where I'm just cutting through it quickly and you never know what you're going to hit. A lot of this locally milled lumber, it comes with odd things in it. Thankfully, with oak, you tend to know if there's something in the wood because it turns bright blue or black. Once they're cut roughly to the right length, we're going to come in and joint one edge. This will become my reference edge. And I'm going to do this at least on the first few boards that I may be working with. I don't do this to all of the lumber because I don't know how my plans are going to change, but I know that the outside of the frame, those are roughly the size and dimension I want. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut these down. I'll joint one edge and then use a marking gauge to measure off of that jointed edge so that I know how wide I want this board to be. And then we can start ripping them down. This is one of those more tedious processes, and you learn to kind of find the fun in the torture. And I like the zen moment of just letting it happen, becoming one with the saw and cutting away, and not really thinking about it, just following a line, and that is kind of enjoyable. Then we can clean up the rough saw marks, and we have our board roughly to shape. It's slightly larger in all dimensions, particularly in length, but we're going to work with that. Now with this pile, we can figure out exactly what we want to do and get to the fun part, but that's next week. I try to do 1 or 2 furniture builds a year, and it's been a little while since I've had one in the shop, so we're going to be starting on this one here as well. If you would like to follow along, we do have plans available on the website, or at least we should by the time this comes out. Hopefully. If not, they'll be out for the second one. The way the build videos work on this channel is we put out a series of step-by-step, and we try to do a particular section of each build. And then at the end, we do a compilation video with all of them. So if you like this information, or if you have questions or things you'd like to see me do, let me know that down in the comments down below. I will try and answer as many of those as I can get to, though recently I haven't been able to get to all the comments. So thank you. That means a lot. Anytime you put comments, like, share, subscribe, that does help us get in front of more people, helps the channel grow. It's very, very useful. So thank you for that. On top of that, there's a bunch of names over here. Those are all the fantastic, wonderful, and benevolent people over on Patreon. Because without patrons, we wouldn't exist. We are completely sponsored by you. And thank you for that. I like to be able to say what I want to say rather than what the companies want me to say. So if you like that, we'd like to help out and keep the channel going, keep the lights on, think about becoming a patron or click the little join button and become a member here on YouTube. So I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. The President of the United States may have a cabinet, but soon I will too.